Hey everyone, I'm Ben. I'm here to talk a little bit more about coronavirus. Um, this is normally a woodworking channel, and I intend to keep it that way. I hope we don't scare away any subscribers by talking about virus topics for a while. But that brings me to my first point, which is that this is not a popularity contest right now. If I lose some subscribers for talking about this, so be it. But I think everybody needs to take a little more responsibility in talking to their friends and family. Even if you're in the younger generation and you're worried that people might make fun of you for telling them to be smart, keep in mind that those people, your younger friends who are going out and socializing against the guidelines and against common sense, might get infected, might get you infected, might end up killing your parents as a result, or your grandparents. So if you don't want to be an orphan, take a little responsibility, man up or woman up, and tell your friends to be a little more careful, a little more responsible. Right now, if anybody should be unpopular, it's the people who aren't practicing social distancing and who aren't otherwise protecting themselves in a good, sensible way. So just do what you need to do and let people know that you're concerned about them and what they're going to do as a result. So the next thing I want to talk about, I almost put a video up about this well over a month ago, and I kind of regret not doing it. At the time, I was just thinking that I was going to get just roasted alive for daring to say this, but it's been a while now, and again, back to not being a popularity contest, I should have just said what I had to say. If you have a mask, wear it. Don't donate it. If you have too many masks, please feel free to donate them. But don't donate all of your masks, even if you have these N95 ones that everybody's talking about right now. I had some of these because I knew what an N95 mask was before it was a popular thing. I'm a woodworker, so I get dust in my lungs, and even when I'm spraying certain finishes, this isn't the right mask for finishes, but I still wear this, like if I'm spraying latex paint, because it'll catch those wet particles as they're floating through the air. And guess what? The virus is transported through the air in moisture particles. Somebody sneezes or coughs, those moisture particles come out and float around. They can stay in the air for quite some time. Now, early on when this started, it became very popular online, social media, and news outlets to say that you should not wear a mask unless you're sick. And the thinking behind this, which made no sense to me, is that if everybody who is sick or everybody who is healthy wears a mask to protect themselves, and everybody who is sick does not wear a mask, the sick people are still going to cough and sneeze moisture particles into the air, get them on their hands, touch surfaces. Other people will touch those surfaces, and they will then eventually touch their face, their nose, or their mouth, and they will get infected. Yes, obviously. I don't see why any of that would prevent somebody or should prevent somebody from wearing a mask themselves. Right, this thing is transmitted. Again, you say they're going to touch their nose or their mouth. Well, guess what? You put this on your face, you're not going to touch your nose or your mouth through the mask, number one. And if there are particles in the air, because this is an airborne virus in addition to a surface transmitted one, if there is anything in the air because somebody coughs or sneezes, at the minimum, you're not going to inhale it through your mask. So obviously, wear a mask even if you're not sick. Right, it was put out early on that the virus, people who are contagious or who are infected, don't show symptoms for up to several weeks, and we're learning now too that some people might have had the virus and never knew it. They just never showed any symptoms, and their immune system fought it off, but they were still infected, still contagious. Immediately, as soon as this information became known that people could transmit the virus without showing any symptoms whatsoever, we should have completely scrubbed the bad advice to not wear a mask unless you're sick, because you don't know if you're sick. You don't know if the person you see in the store who looks fine is sick. You don't know if the person behind the cash register is sick. You don't know if your coworker in the meeting is sick. You don't have to show symptoms to be sick. So the recommendation, I don't know how it continued, that everyone would say don't wear a mask, right? It was allergy season, right? In the beginning of middle of February, beginning of March, it was allergy season. The trees were starting to produce pollen in most parts of the United States. plants were producing pollen. People were coughing, sneezing, rubbing their eyes, rubbing their faces constantly. And we were telling them not to wear masks when we knew that there was an airborne virus that was spreading at a pretty fast rate. So that was just terrible advice. And I'm sorry so many people followed it. The end result of being generous and giving away all the masks to the hospitals and us not wearing them ourselves, I do, but not everybody does, is that the hospitals are now overloaded with people who did not wear masks, touched their mouth, touched their nose when they were infected, had it on their hands, or they breathed it in. So we've kind of created or worsened the problem by just doing what social media said, not exercising enough common sense. So I don't mean to just complain about the past. Hindsight's always a lot better than foresight, but as far as it goes right now, if you have a mask available, whether it's an N95 or whether it's a surgical mask or whether it's a piece of cloth that you cut out of an old shirt or something that you can cover your face with, right? These particles are transmitted in little moisture droplets in the air, so something nice and absorbent like cotton, if you can double layer it, wrap it as a bandana around your face. Hell, if you got to pinch off your shirt in the back, walk into the store like this, it's not a popularity contest, right? Protect yourself. And by protecting yourself, you protect everybody else. Cover your face. This thing infects the nose, mouth, throat, and gets into your lungs sometimes. And that's what causes people to stop breathing, is because their lungs can no longer function properly and they just suffocate. So the most commonsensical thing that you can do is exactly what all doctors and nurses are doing right now, because they know what the deal is. Protect your respiratory passages that are going to get infected. Cover them up. All right? If you go out, you're in public, you're in a meeting, you're in a store, cover yourself up, because if other people aren't doing it, then you run the risk of getting infected. All right? And the bottom line is that there are a lot of people that you see in the store who probably already have it. There are people watching this video who probably already have it and just don't know it. Again, you don't show symptoms for quite a while after you get infected. So, and people touch their faces a lot, especially after putting a mask on a tickly mustache. So keep in mind, this is everywhere, and just the best bet, same thing with firearm safety. All right, you want to be safe with firearms, always treat them like they're loaded. You don't point a gun at somebody unless you intend to kill them, even if you're pretty sure there's not a round in the chamber, because you never know. You make a mistake, it's a permanent mistake. If you go out in the store and you see somebody who's doesn't look like they're sick, treat them like they have a round in the chamber and protect yourself. All right? And by doing so, you protect everybody else around you, you protect your family, you don't contaminate your family, and they don't contaminate other people before any of you show symptoms. And by doing that, you reduce the quantity of people who end up in the hospitals, in the emergency rooms, the doctor's offices, where the medical staff are short on masks now because too many people are not protecting themselves and also not being very smart. So third point that I would like to get to is that I've been a little bit disappointed in the way this has been handled on the media. Social media is just an absolute disaster. I got rid of Facebook last year because just can't take the politics on there anymore. Too many people are posting their opinions, and I don't care what their political opinions are for one side or the other, whether I agree or disagree. I just don't want to see it. That's not why I go on to social media. I'm going there to see family. So social media is a disaster as far as how people are trying to blame politicians for this. And I'm talking politicians at a local, state, and national level. Right? Everybody is doing their best. And this caught pretty much everyone by surprise. You know, we've had little things like this come up before, little or not so little, such as Ebola and previous outbreaks of SARS, mad cow disease. Right? I mean, these things that all of a sudden get everybody into a panic, and then they kind of go away, and all right, yeah, good, we're not so worried about it anymore, no big deal. A lot of people were thinking this was going to be another no big deal event, up until it started to really convince people otherwise. And if you go back to a channel I posted on YouTube, I'll put a link up in the corner. I posted it on March 26th, just showing how you can use elementary school math to see how this thing could really spread out of control very quickly just by doubling, assuming one person infects one other person. I posted that video on March 26th. 2 days later, it had doubled already. And now we're, I think, 4 days later, past March 26th, it's almost doubled again. All right, so this is really getting out of control. People didn't see this coming at first, and then we did, and at that point it was a little too late to stop it completely because people weren't prepared to take the measures that were required to really stop it. Social isolation, complete social isolation, shutting down businesses, shutting down airports, shutting down immigration, and even people returning to country who were citizens who have traveled abroad. All right, we weren't ready for those kinds of measures because people would have lost their mind. Of course, if politicians did these things up front, people would have been up in an outrage, especially if it actually worked and prevented the virus from spreading. Because then they would have said, well, see that? You shut down the airports and shut down businesses and put all these people out of work, and there's not even a problem, right? No kidding, all right? But that's how people would react, because people are always looking to point a finger and blame a politician. My point is that we need to stop fighting and letting politics even be a part of this. There are things that politicians need to do. But if I smash my finger with a hammer, I can't go and complain because the politician didn't put a policy in place to prevent me from smashing my finger. I did that. My fault. Put my hand on the stove, burn my hand, my fault. I go out into the store and I don't wear a mask and protect myself, my fault. I let my friends or my family drive drunk, my fault. I let my friends and my family go to the store and don't put a mask on their face and don't protect themselves, my fault. All right, so everybody has a degree of responsibility in this. Stop blaming politicians because they're not going to make you stay in your house. They can put out laws. All right, there are laws for everything right now, but it is your responsibility to stay in your house unless you absolutely need to go out. And if you do go out, make sure you put on a mask. All right, make sure you put on gloves. All right, I keep these things available. You can also use work gloves, gardening gloves, whatever. Just be careful when you take them off so that you don't kick anything up into the air. If you did get some virus on those gloves, put them out in the sun, throw them in the washing machine when you get home. It's everybody has an individual responsibility to do the right thing right now, and I'm just tired of seeing people in the news trying to blame government. We're going to see some trends. I read one of the stupidest news articles I've ever read a couple days ago. It was just comparing virus infections, Democrats compared to Republicans. What the hell does that even matter? And they kind of got at the right point that population density has something to do with it. That's just obvious, right? It's transmitted person to person. So common sense tells you that the denser a population is, the greater rate at which the virus will spread. So if you're in a city or you're near a city, your chances of getting it are significantly higher because people are just in closer contact. That's the whole idea of social distancing, is trying to increase the distance between people. If you go to a country store out in the middle of nowhere and 10 people have been in that store all day and you touch the counter or touch a product on the shelf, the probability of you getting it is significantly lower than if you go to the Walmart or whatever. I'm not calling out any particular store. You go to whatever store, grocery store in the city where there have been 200-300 people in there all day. Yes, they're trying to do a better job of sanitizing, but population density, more people touching the same things, more people breathing the same air, meetings, that's the whole idea of social distancing. So if you're in a densely populated area, you have even more reason to protect yourself, mask and gloves, and even less reason to blame politicians if you go out and you allow your friends to go out and they are not protected. All right, it comes in through the nose and the mouth. So protect, above all else, protect your nose and your mouth. All right, when you get home, you can decontaminate, you can take off your clothes carefully, not inhaling while you do it. You can remove your mask, I do, and set it up on the dash of your vehicle carefully so that it can sit out there in the sun and bake until the next time you need to go shopping, several weeks or months later when you run out of edible things in your house, right? No daily grocery shopping, nobody needs to do that. I don't care how many kids you have. Although these restrictions they're putting in grocery stores right now are kind of causing people to shop more frequently. A little bit of a side effect, but I get why they're doing it, so everybody can get something. Pros and cons to it, but I'm not going to talk about that. I just wanted to point out that the political bickering has to stop. And if I see comments down below that are for or against any specific politician or political party, even worse, I'm probably just going to delete it because that's you miss the whole point of this. We tend to treat politics like a sports game, and a lot of people do. And the idea is that the only way that my team can win is if your team loses. And greater the margin in which they lose by, the greater the victory for me. All right, that's how politics is generally handled. And it seems to be getting worse, or maybe I'm just getting older and more cynical, but we have a pretty great divide in the United States, and we need people to be a little more united, right? You know, the whole thing about united we stand, divided we fall. We're acting very divided, and this is not the time to emphasize the greatness of your political party. I don't care what your political party is. I don't have one. I don't need somebody to provide me with a prepackaged belief system. I have my own beliefs and my own way of thinking about things. So I'm not advocating for one political party over the other. I just want to emphasize that so nobody thinks that I'm defending or criticizing anybody in particular. I'm just saying that this caught everybody by surprise. A lot of politicians were caught by surprise, and they're doing the best they can right now to make the right decisions. Some of those decisions are working out better than others, and the media is very quick to come in and criticize them afterwards if they didn't make the best possible decision. Thank you for your hindsight. How about some suggestions about how we can do things better in the future? All right. So my suggestion is, going back to the beginning, one, it's not a popularity contest. Don't worry about what people are going to say to you if you tell them to protect themselves. Don't worry about what people are going to think if you walk into the store and you have a mask or a bandana or something protecting your face. If they think you're sick and they take a few steps back away from you, great, that was a success. All right, they can think you're sick all day long. Maybe you should do a little fake, no, don't do a fake cough, because you might be infected and not know it. But you know, if they think you're sick, that's fine. That's fine. They'll stay away from you. So the second point, wear a mask. All right, if you go into the store, make sure that you have a mask on, and then take it off carefully. Don't rub the outside, then rub your face after you take the mask off. Be careful after you remove your gloves. Turn them inside out, dispose of them, and then you carefully remove your mask without rubbing the outside a lot. Set it down on the dash of your car and let it cook, or some other place where it's going to cook and decontaminate itself. I've also started to decontaminate packages, and just on another point, I know we're trying to protect doctors and nurses and medical personnel, emergency personnel, firefighters, policemen. I keep this bottle available. It's a spray bottle that's part bleach, part water, and when packages show up, I go outside and I spray those packages down. People are ordering more stuff online right now. Just get a little spray with bleach water, put a glove on my hand, and I spread it around, and then I leave it there until it dries up. And then later I bring the package inside. When I get mail out of the mailbox, if I'm not wearing gloves, I take the mail and take it inside and set it down in the garage and not touch it for a day or two, because the virus can survive for a little while on paper or cardboard. I'm going to talk more about that in a second, but because a lot of misunderstandings about this. But I'll set it down in the garage. I won't open it until the next day. Nothing is that critical. Even if you get your stimulus check in the mail instead of direct deposit, it can wait for a day or two, or decontaminate that package somehow, or be ready to wash your hands after. Anyway, I set it down in the garage, let it sit, go in and wash my hands, decontaminate myself, so I have no concerns about getting infected through the mail. Now, a lot of people are saying right now that you will not get infected through the mail. I just want to make a point here that people need to understand. All right, first of all, I really appreciate what postal workers, FedEx workers, UPS, what they're all doing right now, because they're in a very dangerous line of work, and they are literally keeping the country going. They're keeping people alive by providing a lot of necessary things, also a lot of unnecessary things that people are still buying. I might even encourage people to spend a little less on unnecessary things online right now. If you can wait, maybe you should wait. But keep this in mind. All right, we're still kind of in allergy season, and it's still a little bit chilly outside. And the delivery service drivers are driving around all day in a vehicle with the windows open or the doors open or completely missing. All right. So allergy season, doors open, cold air. They have runny noses. All right. I've seen a lot of them wearing gloves, and that's good. But they have runny noses. The guys working in the warehouses loading this stuff have runny noses. They might, try not to touch your gloves, but they're going to do something at some point, and maybe touch your shoulder. Right? There's going to be mucus or saliva particles on there that may be infected, because they are going to, we know that one of the surfaces that holds the virus the most is plastic and metal, stainless steel, I think I read anyway. It's older news. Again, I'm not an expert, I'm just a dude with some opinions and a little common sense. But plastic and metal hold the virus a lot longer, keep it alive a lot longer than things like paper and cardboard. What's your mailbox made out of, right? So if the mailman has a runny nose because it's allergy season and he's just doing his job trying to keep everybody else supplied, and he rubs his nose on his shirt and forgets later, and then goes to take off his seatbelt with his rubber gloves, and then touches your rubber or metal mailbox, and then you go out there with no glove on and you touch your rubber or metal mailbox and then pull out that mail that he also touched with his glove that might have been infected, touching all those other packages. Packing tape is plastic, right? So we got plastic packing tape on a lot of these packages. He's touching those, he's touching envelopes. Nobody's really talking about this yet, at least I haven't seen it, but there's a very good chance that this virus might start to get spread more through the mail system. So protect your mail carrier and be careful with your mailbox. And for the mail carriers out there, protect yourself and change those gloves as frequently as you can. And just be careful with people's mailboxes. I might make the recommendation that mail carriers touch the handle or whatever, the main way of opening the mailbox. And other people, if you live there, you touch the side to open your mailbox. And if we kind of establish a system like that, there's a lot lower risk of contamination going from the plastic or metal in your mailbox from the mail carrier to the person. Because if your neighbor gets sick and you live one door over, all right, your neighbor's going to go out, cough into his hand, touch that mailbox. The mailman's going to go by, touch the mailbox, and then go over and touch your mailbox. And guess what? There is a chance that you can get it. I'm not an expert, all right? Not an expert, but it is not a really far-fetched idea that a virus that survives for 5 days on plastic could be transported via a plastic glove from one plastic mailbox to the next plastic mailbox. So protect your mail carrier. If you're sick, sanitize your mailbox and be careful how you touch it. And if you're not sick or you don't know that you're sick yet, be careful how you handle your mail and maybe let your packages sit for a little while before you pick them up. Give them a day or so. And the contents on the inside are probably okay because it's been in the mail for a few days. The outside of the package, maybe give it a day before you open it up. All right, we've got to start thinking about some little more extreme measures. Maybe keep a bottle of bleach water handy so that you can sanitize your mail. I think I've rambled for enough time now. Probably lost a lot of people's attention span, but hopefully I said something that was useful. Again, let's work together on this, and hopefully we can, as I say, flatten the curve or just commonsensically stop the spread of this thing by exercising some good safe practices. Keep a mask in your vehicle. You can use that mask for multiple trips to the store, and so you don't have to throw it out every time. Keep some gloves on. If you don't have a mask, you can make one, make it out of an old shirt or something. I'm sure you could sacrifice one shirt for the sake of not getting a life-threatening virus that you could spread to your whole family. So be safe, be smart. Thanks for watching, and hopefully we can get through all of this pretty soon.